Namaste, everybody. So today I wanted to continue to share with you more about what my guides and angels refer to as my miraculous awakening experience when they appeared to me for the full 2-month period standing by the side of my bed, where I was allowed to see them and receive communications from them that I am part of their group, that I'm one of them, and that right now I'm in physical incarnation, and that they were calling upon me then to start to work to serve them using my spiritual gifts. Back then, no, I did not know that I'm actually Mary of Bethany reincarnated. I had to work many years to receive that gift of clarity from God, which I share on my website. What I wanted to share with you today is, after that 2-month experience was over, and I was clearly beyond overwhelmed, trying to figure out how to live life being traditional, but also not a traditional being, I did what they asked me to do. I drew the pictures of what I experienced during that 2-month period. But in that book, the reality is that's a small fraction of what I experienced. There's so much more I could go back and draw, and maybe they'll have me do that. Over the years, over many years, I worked underneath that initial group of guides and my guardian angels, and I worked through passing very difficult tests and initiations that I did not know were tests and initiations until God and Jesus and Kuan Yin enlightened me after a very difficult and challenging chapter in my life was an actual initiation to be allowed to work for Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, Buddha, and Kuan Yin at the highest level possible as their chief principal oracle. I worked through that initial set of guides and angels, which Jesus calls my second group of guides and angels. The Ascended Masters, Jesus, Mary, Kuan Yin, and Buddha, the top 4 Ascended Masters, are my primary guides that I have been serving for the last handful of years. What I wanted to share with you today is that at that point in my ascension process, I never stopped to draw pictures of them when they appeared to me and gave me full 3D, life-size, full-color apparitions of the 4 of them. Now I wish I had. However, what I did do was I did obey them. When they first appeared to me, asking me to deliver their messages, they all also asked me to include pictures of them to go along with their messages. They told me that they wanted me to do my best to work with my graphic designer to help create the art and the images of the 4 of them exactly how I see them, so that you would know exactly what they really look like. So even though I don't have an actual book of me drawing it by hand, I have recreated the images of the 4 Ascended Masters that you can find on my social media and on my website that look as close to them as what me and my designer, were able to possibly create. The reason I'm sharing this with you is that the Ascended Masters have also asked me to enlighten you to the reality that the images I use are very close in the depiction of what I witness when I'm allowed, what I have witnessed when I get to see them in how they look. Their desire in wanting you to know this is so that you know how real they actually are. The Ascended Masters want nothing more than to help you on your path here on earth. Your belief in them is critical in the level and in the amount of blessings and gifts and help that they are either allowed or willing to do to help you. I know how loving and how powerful each of them are. My hope is that by enlightening you to their existence, that you will believe in them and become more devoted and more loyal to them so that you can receive the high level of gifts, blessings, and true miracles that they are capable of gifting to you. In this video, in addition to sharing that with you, I also wanted to share a little bit more about the book. I realized there's actually still a little bit more here in case you're interested. Like I said, there was so much going on. Not just that night when I was allowed to see my guides and my guardian angels and hear their communications, but also all throughout the day, and a lot of really cool, amazing experiences that they gave to me. I'm going to do my best to share some of them. I'm going to show you the Pac-Man. They had to work very hard in the beginning to get me to trust them because it was so overwhelming being taken out of amnesia in such a dramatic way, which is what they were doing when they were giving me visions after visions after visions of watching myself as a very small child, then an adolescent, then a teenager, then a young adult, channeling wisdom, channeling guidance, helping the person that was in front of me. Their love was pivotal in helping me be able to embrace them and what they wanted from me, which was to step in to their desires of having me help them while I'm here on earth and they are in heaven. So they would use things that make me feel really safe, happy, amuse me, and that were also very personal to me. This experience, the Pac-Man, happened when I was having a nightmare one night, which I don't usually have nightmares. If I have a nightmare, it's usually because there's a negative entity trying to attack. This night, I was having a nightmare. I started getting fearful during the nightmare, and all of a sudden, I saw this humongous white Pac-Man appear in my third eye and interrupt the nightmare. And the Pac-Man was, as we all know Pac-Man does, and he was picking up clouds of white light. My picture of Pac-Man, although I got the circle really darn good, all this is hand done, by the way, their Pac-Man actually had a smile on it. They filled me with love and happiness as I watched the Pac-Man eating away the nightmare and eating up the clouds of white light. When this happened, I immediately felt amused. I started laughing. All the fear and anxiety from the nightmare completely dissipated. My guides and angels surrounded me. I felt their arms around me. They embraced me. They let me know that they were clearing away the negative entity that was creating the nightmare and that they were surrounding me in a protective space. What was cool about Pac-Man was that it does have a personal meaning behind it. Pac-Man was one of my favorite games when it came out way back when. So this is something that was personal to me, and they used to show me their deep and close connection to me going back to when Pac-Man first came out, and I would play it whenever I had the opportunity, wherever it was. I figured that part out later when they sent me that clarity. Another experience I had was when they sent me another spirit guide towards the end of this 2-month experience. This happened on New Year's Eve. It started out with being woken up with a vision of this huge female spirit guide in the cosmos with pure gold stars all around her and a flashing white heart. She was wearing a cloak. When I looked up and I saw her, she filled me with love. She told me her name was Catherine, and she told me that she was one of my new guides that God was sending in to help train me and to help care for me and for me to work for her as well. They taught me in this experience with Catherine, the reality is that we have our core family of guides and angels, but then we will also receive additional guides and angels that are sent to us to help us complete certain specific missions in our development. This was one way that they taught me this reality. I was lucky enough to be allowed her name and what she looked like, which made me break down my wall of defenses and allow her to come into my space quicker, faster, and easier, and be less resistant like I was in the beginning. They also let me know that they were very serious about getting me up and out working as quickly as possible. The white heart that's floating above her symbolizes two things. One, she was letting me feel and know her love for me, and that even though I'm in an amnesic state, we have a relationship prior to this meeting, and she was trying to help me understand and embrace that. Later, I was also told that it was a gift from God. The white heart was his energy coming through again in the form of a white heart, which he had already done so many times before this that I really couldn't even count how many times. And I understood that part of it immediately. In my ascension process, God sent to me my group of spirit guides and guardian angels and gave me the opportunity to embrace them and to embrace the spiritual gifts that he created my soul to have. I worked very hard once I stepped into accepting them and my spiritual gifts. Once I was finally able to be willing to do that, I spent the rest of my life being extremely dedicated and devoted to them. I became very loyal and committed to anything and everything that they asked me to do. I made many sacrifices. I still do. I also went through a lot of tests and initiations that were extremely challenging to the point where there was true suffering involved. During the years where I committed myself to God and my guides and my angels, and I used perseverance, loyalty, devotion, determination, sacrifice, commitment to them and to our purpose, I ascended over the years, not knowing that that was what I was doing. Jesus and God gave me this enlightenment when the day finally came and God raised me to the ranking and the position of becoming an oracle for Jesus Christ and him. And then the years went by and I was raised again to becoming the chief principal oracle for Jesus and God and Kuan Yin and Mary and Buddha. In order to attain that position, I gave what God and Jesus said was extreme loyalty and commitment to them, to my spiritual gifts, and to serving mankind. The perseverance, the overcoming the hardships, the challenges, the discriminations, as well as also long periods of fasting, silence, having to be alone, putting me in states where I wasn't allowed contact with humans so that I could develop a higher level of connectivity to them, periods of suffering with health so that they could expand my consciousness and teach me what actually causes the body to become ill and what can help heal the body. Periods of much longer meditations, a minimum of an hour a day. Again, intended to raise my vibration and help me reach a higher level of purity so that I could be allowed to work at a more advanced state. The list goes on and on and on. What they wanted me to share with you was that in my ascension process, a big reason of why I attained the level that I'm at today as their chief principal oracle is that when they first came and appeared to me, as much as I fought it just initially for a couple months, once I overcame fear and doubt, I fully embraced loyalty and commitment to them, to my missions, to my job. I never said no to them. I did my absolute best to complete every mission that every single one of them asked me to do. I still do that, obviously. And that is what allowed me to be raised in my position and my ranking, and what earned me ultimately the high position I hold today, which is the chief principal oracle for Jesus, Kuan Yin, Mary, Buddha, and God. If you are somebody who's on a spiritual path and you want to ascend and achieve a higher ranking, then please remember your level of devotion, dedication, perseverance, all the work involved is absolutely necessary. I hope that sharing my experience with you helps you see that there is so much more than just the physical things that your eyes see, that your hands can touch here on the physical dimension. There really is a creator, God. There really is spiritual guides and angels. There really is a heaven. And God really does send his helpers to earth to help him guide, protect, and heal his beings here on earth so that you can have a better chance of attaining heaven once your incarnation here is over. I hope that my story helps you understand that there truly is so much more than just the physical world that you are currently in today. Until next time, namaste. By the way, I found another book. I found my daughter Emma's book. Emma was activated the exact same time that I was activated. I need to get her permission. But if she says yes, I'm happy to share with you Emma's experiences and the guides and the angels that Emma was allowed to see when she was also activated. Until next time, namaste.